So, Marco Asensio looks like he could be on his way to Aston Villa, while Jacob Ramsey looks to be set for Newcastle in a £40 million deal. Let's get into it all on Transfer Talk.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another Transfer Talk show. I had to jump on late on Tuesday night because news has just broken in the last hour or so that Jacob Ramsey is on his way to potentially sign for Newcastle in a £40 million package. Craig Hope was, I think, the first one to report it from the Daily Mail, saying that talks were going to advance and intensify on Wednesday, but no official bid had been made. But then Fabrizio Romano trumped that, saying that it's pretty much a here we go, and it is going to be a 40 million package. Ramsey and his camp have said yes to the deal, and it could be advanced very, very, very quickly. I want to know your thoughts on this one, Aston Villa fans. I've spoken about it today, i.e. Tuesday, in quite a lot of detail with the Loaded Mag boys, the Newcastle boys on their channel, where I discussed Ramsey and I think his unfulfilled potential, I think you would have to say, at Aston Villa. I think he's always been a player that we've hoped could fulfill his potential. We've seen it in fits and starts. We've seen it in bursts. We've seen it at certain times where he's got 5 or 6 games in a row under his belt. He's scored a few goals. He's driven the ball from through midfield and he gets us territory. But then it's been curtailed by an injury or a bit of loss of form or going missing in certain games. And I just feel like there's been a little bit of unfulfilled potential, and maybe the move could be good for all parties. £40 million is great in terms of PSR, in terms of the profit, in terms of what we could maybe reinvest in the rest of the squad because of how much you can write off and accounting purposes and what you can then spend extra on a player that comes purely through the academy. And then also for Jacob Ramsey, potentially that change of scenery, a new club, a new challenge could be the best move for all parties. I will be sad to see him go, but I'm also kind of prepared for it in terms of the players that we have already in the squad in those positions, in terms of Evan Gesson who can play there, John McGinn who can play there, Morgan Rogers who can play there, even someone like a Daniel Marlin, if you move players around the pitch, can operate in that position. Yuri Tillemans can play there, especially if you go in with a Kamara and Amadou Onana, more defensive central midfield partnership, and then you push Yuri Tillemans further forward. So there's multiple options that can be utilized in there. And then potentially you could look at Jamar Jimo Aloba as someone who can come in as a young player who might be able to be utilized. And then off the back of that, Marco Asensio has been re-linked with Aston Villa. And this could be another signing that is sanctioned because of the sale of Ramsey or vice versa. The sanction of Ramsey, the sale of Ramsey could have been off the back of Marco Asensio potentially coming back to the club. Now, it was heard of that Fenerbahce were coming in for him and he was going to be signing for them, but that hasn't materialised. And I think maybe he's wanted to come back to Aston Villa in some capacity over the course of this pre-season for the coming season, and it could be done on a permanent deal. Aston Villa look like they're talking to his representatives about a loan or a permanent transfer. Now, for me, he came in and he was fantastic. And if you look at the quality that he brings, you look at the way that he can control the ball, the creativity that he's got, and that ability that he's got on the ball, it is second to none. And I guess he's a totally different player to someone like a Jacob Ramsey, but the quality that he brings, the goals that he brings, the ruthless finishing that he brings, and the quality of pass that he brings is on another level. He probably doesn't have the energy, he doesn't have the enterprise at times of someone like a Jacob Ramsey, but would that be a fair trade-off for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you be willing to trade the sale of Jacob Ramsey for bringing in a player of Marco Asensio's quality, or if he is signed on a full contract on a permanent deal, if he is given a 3-year contract or something like that, does that give you Philippe Coutinho vibes in terms of a player coming, getting his contract, and then, maybe not fault of his own, Coutinho got an injury but couldn't get back fit, and then you're paying those big wages, you can't get a resale value. So is that the risk that you run with someone like Marco Asensio, or did he find his home at Aston Villa, and will this be the place for him to flourish and take us back to Champions League glory, or win us Europa League glory? He's got that European pedigree, like I say. So could he be a fair trade-off for you for someone like Jacob Ramsey to go? And also, with the money that you get with Jacob Ramsey, could you reinvest that? We've talked about the centre-back position needing reinforcement. We've talked about the right-back position needing reinforcement. Could you then reinvest that money that you get for Ramsey in signing those two players and getting more depth in the squad? I want to know your thoughts in the comments, so please get in there. And talking about right-backs, us and right-backs don't go well, but Andres Garcia is apparently interesting clubs from Spain and elsewhere in Europe. This time Valencia, I believe, and also Real Betis, wanting to be kept informed of the progress of and the potential option of maybe Aston Villa listening to offers, and also Sevilla are interested as well. Now, is this something that you would entertain? He came in and sort of did quite well, I would say, in certain games, certainly showed a lot of enthusiasm. But did he have the tactical discipline that Unai Emery wanted? Did he read the game as well as Unai Emery wanted him to? I remember him playing the first half against Nottingham Forest, and I thought he did quite well. I thought he marauded up that right-hand side and he got a couple of good efforts in. But there were times when Anthony Elanga just ran through and he was nowhere to be seen. So maybe that tactical discipline, maybe the pace of the Premier League, maybe the ruthlessness of the Premier League hasn't suited Andres Garcia in terms of Unai Emery's eyes. Or maybe it's just a case of his agent putting stories out there that other clubs want him to maybe force Unai Emery's hand a little bit, to give him some more opportunity to say, look, our player is wanted here at these clubs. Let's give him some game time. Let's give him more opportunity when he does come back to full fitness, because he has been injured as well. So that's an interesting one. But would you prepare to let him go? He's appeared in the Premier League already. He didn't make the Champions League squad because we had to obviously bring in other players. So he hasn't had that experience yet, but he has played in the Premier League. So does that add a few zeros or a bit more millions onto his price tag? We signed him, I think, for 6 million euros. So would he go for sort of 10, 12 million euros now? And we've almost kind of doubled our money on him. What do you think in the comments? Would you be happy with doing that deal? And does that kind of set the scene for a lot of these players that Aston Villa sign? Like, they're not really going to feature too much for the first team, if at all, but we're going to potentially flip them for a little bit of profit, or to utilize for cash flow to help bring in other players. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And then if we are to sell Ramsey and bring Asensio in, does it still open up the door for a potential other midfield option? And Bilal Alcanous has definitely been one to be linked with Aston Villa as well. And I believe his release clause is around about the 29 million euro mark. So around about 24, 25 million pounds. We've talked about him before. Would he be someone that you could maybe bring in as well as Marco Asensio to compete for that central midfield, attacking midfield position, creative position? Emi Buendia has done quite well this pre-season, but has he done enough to really get into Unai Emery's plans, or has he just put himself back in the shop window to potentially get a move elsewhere? And would someone like Alcanous represent a better alternative and a more prodigious alternative because of his age and because of his potential? I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Multiple clubs are after Alcanous. Newcastle are interested in him. They've put in potential bids. Brentford, I think, were interested. Brighton were interested. So there's multiple clubs interested in Alcanous. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with him. With Jacob Ramsey, potentially on his way to Newcastle. It does look like that is happening. Whether that happens before the weekend, I don't know. I don't think he would be in either squad on the weekend based on this transfer. But would that open the door for Villa to sign someone like Alcanous because Newcastle have gone for Ramsey? Or do Newcastle go for both players to increase the chances for their squad? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but certainly moves are starting to be being made. I want to see us reinvest that Ramsey money in a defender, central defender, and a right back if we can. And I want to see us obviously sign Marco Asensio as well. I think that could be a good deal, but I think I would prefer it on a season-long loan again and then look at an option to buy at the end of the season if he does well. But I want to know what you say in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Ramsey to Newcastle, £40 million package. Is that worth doing? Is that deal worth doing? Marco Asensio, is he going to bring glory to Aston Villa next season if he does sign? Alcanous, can you see him coming in? And Andres Garcia, is his future laying away from Aston Villa? And would you take the money if it was offered by Sevilla or Valencia or Real Betis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Catch our fans forum seasons predictions special. It has got some great takes in there, some hot takes, some controversial takes. Get in the comments. Let us know if you agree. We'll be back with plenty more shows as the season starts. Match previews, match reactions, fans forums, you name it, talking tactics, you name it, we've got it on this channel. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help us on the road to 6,000 subscribers. Just over 100 left to go. You can help us get there. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.